Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today a new video in Elizabeth's room because we're gonna talk about 6 menu ideas to make your kid eat a complete meal. Before I start, if you don't know me, I'm Livia and I'm a mom of a 21 months old. Her name is Elizabeth and I have to admit I'm pretty lucky with her eating habits because she eats pretty much everything. She's very good at it and I couldn't be more blessed. But being a pastry chef, I love to cook and I have a lot of ideas of how to make complete meals in a very easy and fast way, and most of all are a menu idea that adults can eat too, so you don't have to cook twice but you can cook the same thing for the whole family. And most of all the recipe that I'm giving you today you can freeze, so you can make a lot and freeze it and save it for times that you don't have time to cook. We're gonna start right away with the first recipe. One of my daughter's favorite thing is pasta, like everybody else I would think. And the easiest way for me to turn it into a complete meal is to add a homemade pesto. It's not regular pesto, I like to make it with arugula because I think it'll give it a little bit more of a kick. And I usually make it with a 2 handful of arugula. I'm gonna add some walnuts. First of all, I add walnuts because they're cheaper than pine nuts, which are very expensive. And second of all, walnuts are very rich of nutritional value, and they're very good for the babies or the kids or the toddler or the adult brain, so that's a big plus. So I'm gonna add the arugula, the walnuts. I'm gonna add a little olive oil, which is always very good to eat. A little garlic. Last time I made it, I used a spiced garlic. Reason why my daughter didn't like it, so be careful which kind of garlic are you using. Please maybe taste it before using it so it's not too spicy. One more thing about garlic, I love to use garlic while I cook, especially for Elizabeth, my daughter, because it's very good for immune system. It really helps, especially in the winter when there's cold and fever and flu around, to protect the body and make you stay healthy. So I always love to use it. I even put a little bit so you don't taste it but it still helps you. And last ingredient, I use a little Parmigiano cheese in it that gives a nice flavor and tastes good obviously. I mix everything together with a mixer, and once the pasta is ready I'm just gonna add the pesto in it, mix everything together, and that's the easiest meal that you can prepare for your kids, full of veggies, carbo and protein most of all, and a lot of good fats. If you got to this point of the video, please consider subscribing because it always helps me, and please leave me a comment down below if you're liking it or if you try any of my recipes. So let's move on to the second recipe. My second idea is to make turkey meatballs. I feel like in the United States, by the way I'm from Italy, we eat a lot of beef, but outside of Thanksgiving we don't eat a lot of turkey. So I like to make these meatballs with turkey, but obviously you can use whatever kind of meat you want. And I like to make these meatballs in a funky way. I just use some ground turkey, add some diced onions and diced carrots that Elizabeth loves, add some lemon zest, which is a little trick and tip that I always use because it gives it a nice fresh taste. I usually put 1 egg for every pound of meat that I use, and I add a lot of breadcrumbs. We love breadcrumbs like everybody else. I mix everything together, make some little meatballs. Like for Elizabeth I usually make them this big, but obviously if you're making it for adults you can make them bigger. I just put it on a pan with olive oil and let them sear on each side. I add a little bit of tomato sauce. About tomato sauce, I don't use a lot. I know in the United States you like everything very saucy, but when it comes to Elizabeth, I don't want tomato sauce everywhere, like walls, her hair, everywhere. So I use the least amount possible so that it covers all the meatballs, but it's not gonna get super saucy. And that's my little trick to keep the house clean. You're welcome. Let's talk about the third idea. So Elizabeth loves legumes. She loves cannellini beans, she loves chickpeas, she loves black beans, she loves all the beans. But there is a problem with lentils. They're too small, she has a problem eating them. She can't get them with her hands, and 3/4 end up everywhere and 1/4 maybe in her mouth. And that's very frustrating for me. So I invented these meatballs, I love meatballs, with lentils. which are a great way for them to eat lentils, which are full of proteins, a lot of nutritional values. I just take a cup of lentils and a carrot. I boil everything together. When they're boiled, I just strain them and mix everything together until it becomes like a paste. Then if you want, you can put a potato too in the mixture, but sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, so it's up to you. After that, I just take little chunks of cheese and wrap them inside this lentil paste so it looks like a meatball. Roll them into breadcrumbs, and after that I'll just put them on a pan fry with olive oil, let them sear on both sides. Again, the lentils are cooked, you just have to make a little crust on the outside and let the cheese melt in the inside, and that's it. Complete meal. Lentils is a protein, carrot veggie, and you have the breadcrumbs and a little cheese too. So plus it's so good, you have to try it too, like you adult that is watching this video. Fourth recipe, we're gonna talk about something I don't really like, which is fish. I don't eat a lot of fish, but I know it's super good, so I make Elizabeth eat it. And sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. And a great way to use leftovers or just make it from scratch is to make a ragu, which is the Italian way to say bolognese, with fish. So I just add some onion and carrots, pan fry them, add the fish. Usually it's like a sole or a flounder, so it's not super tasty or super like fattish like a salmon, but still it gives all the nutritional value to your kid. You just let it cook it off for like 5 minutes. After that, I'm just gonna add some tomato sauce and let it cook for pretty much like 10 to 15 minutes. And to this you can add some whole wheat pasta or whole wheat rice. I wanna tell you about rice because we really love in this family. Elizabeth loves it, but again, it's very small, so we have problems like hands up everywhere. And one more tip about this recipe is that if your kid doesn't like chunks of food, I understand that a lot of kids had that problem. So one tip is to blend everything, so carrots, onions, fish, tomato sauce, everything together, so it would look like it's just tomato sauce. And if I want to tell you the truth, flounder or soil they don't taste like a lot, so they're definitely gonna be covered as flavor by the tomato or the carrot, almost well the onion, so they won't really taste the fish if they don't have to know, like if you don't want them to know. So that's a great trick, just blend everything together and say just tomato sauce. Fifth recipe is one of my favorite, is one of my go-to. It's frittata. I love frittata, it's so easy to make. You can put everything inside that you have in the fridge, and most of all, I love it. I could eat it every day. So what I usually make is what I call rainbow frittata, very fancy. I usually put a half onion, we love red onion, we put a half zucchini and some cherry tomatoes. Elizabeth loves cherry tomatoes, but if your kid has problem with them, you can just put another veggie, maybe spinach, and just blend everything together with the egg, so it's all eaten and they will know that. You just let it cook in a pan with some olive oil, and then you add the beaten eggs. I usually put 1 for Elizabeth, but 1 is not a lot to put in a pan, so I make 6, and it's gonna last a couple of days, or we're gonna eat it in the family too, so again, I cook for the whole family, not just for Elizabeth. And you let it cook on both sides, and then the frittata is ready, and it was so easy. It really takes like 20 minutes to make. Last recipe that I want to talk about, the 6th, it's a kind of dessert. It's a smoothie. I know it might sound silly and maybe a lot of people don't want to do that, but you can get those pouches at the grocery store. They're like smoothie, but it's so easy to make at home. Again, I use the pouches at home too, but when I have time and I have the ingredients at home, I just make a fresh one. It takes 1 second if you have like a blender. I usually put half avocado, half a banana, and some raspberry. That's Elizabeth's favorite. I put it in a bowl and let it eat with a spoon. You can add some yogurt too if you want, but she usually eats yogurt in the morning. And I was saying that I let her eat it with a spoon because I think it's important for her, being only 21 months old, to get better with her motor skills. And yes, we don't really have that pouch that you can refill, so that's pretty much the only way. I really hope you enjoyed this video. These 6 ideas are my favorite, and I've made them so many times that really they're like certified. and we all love them in my family. If you like this video, consider clicking on these other videos I'm gonna put here, and most of all, consider subscribing. That always helps. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye!